Hi, welcome to my session about Azure Bastion. But firstly, I will say thank you to Robert and Gregor for this great idea about the Azure Advent Calendar. I'm really happy for the invite and I hope I can give you some insights about the Azure Bastion in this session. So before we get into, I will introduce myself. My name is Gregor Reimling. I'm a cloud consultant at the Sepago. Sepago is a small consultant company here in Cologne. You can reach me over Twitter with my Twitter handle Gregor Reimling. I have also a meetup here in Bonn. The Azure Meetup Bonn is near Cologne, so when you are in the area about Cologne, please feel free to join us or to contact me to join one of our meetups. And yeah, I have also a blog under reimling.eu. So please feel free to look and get some Azure stuff. So I think we can start with the session. So what is Azure Bastion? Azure Bastion is a replacement for your jump hosts or for public IPs that you are bind to servers to reach these servers from outside the VNet of Azure. It's a fully managed PaaS service from Microsoft. So when you think about to reach your VNets and to reach your servers inside the VNets properly, normally you have a VPN gateway and you can reach your Azure VMs from inside the corporate network via the VPN tunnel, but many times you have servers for dev or for other stuff, for testing or so on, and then you create a VNet, create some servers inside, but you can't reach the servers directly from outside the VNet. And then many of the customers use a jump host. A jump host is a server or a Windows 10 client, and you bind a public IP to it to this client. Then you connect over the public IP to the Windows client, and then you jump into the servers and manage the servers from this jump host. Many of our customers didn't use the jump host. They think it more from the easier perspective. I use a public IP and bind this directly to my server. It's only for testing or for some minutes to manage the servers, but this is not a good idea because IP addresses from the public IP address from Microsoft will scan all the time from some bots and so on. And when a bot knows that a public IP has an open RDP or SSH port, then they will directly make a brute force attack and will try to join or to reach to cover the server. So, and this is the way where Azure Bastion comes into play, because Azure Bastion is a replacement to replace your jump host or to avoid to bind public IPs to some of your servers. Azure Bastion is a small HTML interface, and when you deploy the Bastion, you get a public IP. You only get access via HTTPS, and the small service will forward your RDP SSH traffic over the HTTPS protocol to inside your VNets and into your VMs. The good thing is you doesn't need an agent on your VMs. You doesn't need to install anything on your VMs or so on. It's really easy to deploy. General notes to Azure Bastion. The region availability now is really small from my perspective. It's only available in the biggest regions now, but I hope this list will improve soon in the next couple of months. The browser compatibility is also, you can use it's fully compatibility with Chromium-based browsers like the Azure Development Browser and the Chrome. Firefox also works. I doesn't see any problems with Firefox, so I think you can also use Firefox. What are the requirements for Azure Bastion? First, you doesn't need access to the resource group was one. So probably when you think to deploy Azure Bastion and give your developers access to a VM with Azure Bastion service, it's enough when you give him this minimum privileges on the VM and on the assigned NIC. He only needs the reader role. Did you see? More small challenge is to deploy your service. You need a free subnet inside the virtual network that you will reach. And that can be more a challenge, because many of the VNets that I see, you define address space for the VNet, and then you define more subnets. But the most time I see VNets with where they doesn't have free space left. From my perspective, it's a good practice to leave some free space left on the VNet spaces for some other Azure service that they will come on the VNet. And Azure Bastion is a new service, is released at the Ignite some 6 weeks ago. And you need a subnet on the VNet, and the subnet needs a special service like when you think on the VPN gateway, you need for the VPN gateway a gateway subnet. And this is also the same with Azure Bastion. To release Azure Bastion, you need a subnet. The subnet needs the name Azure Bastion subnet, and you need at least this range of free spaces for this subnet. This can be a challenge to deploy Azure Bastion into your VNet. When you doesn't have free space, then you have to manage you have to restructure your VNet design. So how it works. So here's deploy a HTML5 based web client, and the RDP and SSH connection will work only over the portal. So you doesn't have the possibility to connect to the public IP of the Azure Bastion service, and then you get access to your VM inside. So probably now you have every time go via the portal to authenticate to the Azure ID, and then you get access to the Azure Bastion service, and then you can access your VMs. So I think we can jump out, and I will show you the Azure Bastion live. So here we are in the portal. Firstly, when we search for Azure Bastion, you can use the search bar. There are 2 ways to deploy Azure Bastion. Probably the first way is to use the Bastion blade that you see here. The second way is you can go via the virtual machine, and then you can open a virtual machine, and then you see at the end under operations the Bastion service also. So in this case, I have a virtual machine selected. They are placed in a VNet there, and the VNet has always Azure Bastion service. So probably I will show you this more on this side. yeah, here you see we can start to deploy the Azure Bastion. From my perspective, I like it more to go directly to the blade, to the Azure Bastion blade, to add a new service. Then you can select a resource group. I have created an Azure Advanced resource group, probably for the session now today. And then you can give it some name. So probably I will select, you see here the list of available regions for the Azure Bastion service. I will select West Europe. Then you see the free network that was available as West Europe in my subscription. This was this 3 networks that you see here. And when I go to the spoke VNet, there was always be Azure Bastion available. So I can jump into the hub. And then you see I have created an Azure Bastion subnet before, and I can select this here. So, and this can be, the little bit challenge, because you have to, you can create the subnet here into the blade, but probably from my perspective it's better to create the subnet directly on the VNet, so that you see the free spaces on the free space on the VNet, and then you can that you are compliant with your corporate compliance rule. So I give it a name like Bastion Hub VNet, so that I can see it is for the Hub VNet. The Bastion service is released in the Hub VNet, and probably you see the name for the public IP address. I will also change to give it a more spoken name. Yeah, so I can see directly that the Azure Bastion Hub VNet has a public IP address. So I will give some text on it. For this is eval protection, and then I will release the service. This only needs 3 to 5 minutes, and then you have a fully managed pass service or Bastion service for your VNet and your own jump host, that you doesn't have to manage it. So we go to one of my servers. Here is a Ubuntu server. I will go into this, and then I go to connect, and then you see 3 blades: the RDP blade, the SSH blade, and the Bastion blade. So when I go to the Bastion blade, you see you can select it is that the new window will be open in the same tab or in a new window. I put my credential in it. This must be the credentials from the selected server, so probably the domain credentials or the local administrator credentials or so on. And then you can select connect, and then you see ask a question about to allow the clipboard, that I allow it, and then you see we are on the Ubuntu, and we can. So now I select a Windows machine. So I go here to a Windows machine, and then you also have the connect button. You see it starts directly with the RDP, and then you can also select Azure Bastion, place your username and password in it, click connect, and then you see a new Windows open or a new tab, and then you see also the connection directly to the selected server. And probably keep in mind, you doesn't need a jump host to assign a public IP to bind a public IP to the server. So it's a really good idea to use Azure Bastion to secure your VNet and to secure your server environment. So when you doesn't have a clipboard, so you can open here on the left bar the clipboard, and then you can paste some text in it. Probably now it's not possible to put files in it or to change files via the session. So probably to get files into the server or out of the servers, you need another way. You can't use Azure Bastion now for this service. So I will close the service, or probably I will start it again, because I will show you another thing. So probably I put my username and password in it. The session starts again. So we can go back to the Bastion server blade. And then here you see the second Azure Bastion service are now deployed. I go to this, and then you can go to the sessions, and you see all the sessions that are currently opened, and who or which user used this session. So probably this is also a good knowledge about the usage about the Azure Bastion. So probably you can disconnect the session from the users when you have some trouble, or when a user that doesn't reach the service itself, then you can also cancel the session for this service. Another thing is this is also all from Azure Bastion side. But next, or a little things that I give you some insights about, is that you see here the public IP. So we can go here to it. Here's the IP address. So, and probably I have a putty here. And when I place a putty and change it to port 443 and make open, you see it doesn't work. This is also the same with the remote desktop protocol, but it's normal because the Bastion service waiting for an HTTPS handshake, and probably when you use a HTTP or SSH protocol, it's another protocol, and the Bastion service can't access the protocol itself. So now we go to the virtual networks. I will go to the spoke network where I have deployed the Azure Bastion. Then you see, sorry, it's the wrong, where is it? Here on the right, and then we go to the subnets. Then you see the Azure Bastion subnet, and you see a security group, and I have assigned NSG to the Azure Bastion subnet. You see here the Azure Bastion NSG. And this is to harden the service or the subnet itself. So probably you can go directly to the network security groups blade. Then I show you the Azure Bastion NSG, and then you see I only allow some ports. Here they can reach the subnet, and I also allow some outbound ports. And this is a good practice to harden the subnet itself, that they for traffic only allow HTTPS traffic to the VNet, and all other traffic are blocked. So I think this is a short introduction about the live demo and about the Azure Bastion itself. And so I will go back and I will continue with my slides. And I have shown you the hardening, and here you see the list of the ports that you have allow to reach the service, and that the service will also reachable from the Azure cloud itself, because the service is a managed service and you have to allow some services from Azure itself that the service can manage and get updates and so on. So please keep this in mind. On the button you see a link to the documentation about the NSG. Yeah, the pricing. Yeah, this is a little bit strange, because the service will is in public preview since June, and are released as a GA service in on the Ignite. And before it released as a GA service, the price was available at 16 euros, and after the release the price increased to more than 100 euros, and 2 days later the price goes down to 60 euros. So probably I think that is the price now. The SLA is also good for production workload. Here's a short summary. It's easy to deploy, is secure your VNet, or probably more is secure your VNets, your servers from reachable outside the world. Forget jump host, and you can also see and manage the connections that are available via the Bastion service. The contour, and here's a big pain point in from my perspective, that probably now Azure Bastion doesn't support VNet peering. So for each VNet that you have to deploy your own Azure Bastion service. You can't release an Azure Bastion service right now and use this as a jump host to another VNet. But this is a huge possibility that is currently not available, but there are many questions about this feature on the feedback side. So I give you a link to the feedback side. My hope was that VNet peering comes with the GA, but this has not come, and so I wait that the VNet peering will be released probably, I hope, in the next year. Another point is that you all need an own subnet into your VNet, and Azure Bastion currently doesn't support multi-keystrokes. And from my perspective, the short region availability is also a little pain point. Here you see some links. I will upload the slides directly after the session, and I hope I give you some good introduction about the service. And when you have a question about the service, use my blog or reach me at Twitter. And thank you and goodbye.